These rocky shores where I call home, where my heart longs to be. Whenever I roam, it's these rocky shores, it's where I long to be. Yes, it's these rocky shores, they are home to me.
Whenever I leave here, it hurts me so, with tears in my eyes, why go? There ain't no work, and the kids need new clothes, the bills need paying, so I must go.
These rocky shores where I call home, where my heart longs to be. Whenever I roam, yes, these rocky shores, it's where I long to be. Yes, these rocky shores, they're home to me.
Where did it all go? The life I once had on the ocean's mighty road. My tears in my eyes and my head in my hands, away from my family, I hope they understand.
That is these rocky shores where I call home, that's where my heart longs to be. Whenever I roam, yes, these rocky shores where I long to be. Yes, these rocky shores, they are home to me. Yes, these rocky shores, they are home to me.
Good evening and welcome to this Weekend Review. Tonight's stories include Graduation 99 was held on Friday. The Calder Health Care Pastoral Care Committee held a workshop last week. Mrs. Rose Vatcher's class held their circus day on Wednesday. These stories plus the BBS Playbill, Off the Rack, community events and more coming up after this.
Some people think that cystic fibrosis just makes it hard for kids to breathe. We could live with that. The truth is, CF is slowly shutting down my daughter's lungs and choking off her life. Imagine watching your child live like that and die like that. But today, your help is leading to great discoveries and finally giving me real hope. Please don't let CF take Cassandra away from me. You can help keep us together for life.
One of the biggest social events of the year was held on Friday of this week. It was Graduation 1999. 35 graduates and their dates dressed up in the latest fashions and styles held a spectacular celebration. The proud parents and their teachers honored the achievements of these young people. The weather was a perfect 20 degrees for the occasion. The day started with a church service. Joy Rose read the first lesson, Tara Skinner read the second, and the prayers of the people were read by Valine Anderson. 3 other graduates performed a song entitled Letting Go.
Snap
graduation dinner got underway at 7 p.m. There were a number of speakers, including Mrs. Barter, our MHA Kelvin Parsons, School Council Rep Millie Dumford, and Mayor Ann. Class valedictorians were Carly Bragdon and Daniel Ingram. The graduates finished off the evening by dancing to the music of A&A Disco. We would like to extend our congratulations to the graduating class of 1999 and wish them every success in whatever they choose to do in the future. On Friday of last week, the Calder Health Care Center sponsored a pastoral care workshop. Mr. Fritz Stacy presented a variety of topics. Here's just an example.
In our community needs our care. Well, Archbishop Payne said when I was doing this presentation in one of the parishes just recently, I showed this one, who needs our care? And he shot up his hand and he said, our families. How often we care for everybody else around us and we forget our immediate families. We forget those that are in our own household. Well, there's a whole list. I'm not going to read them all. Those who are hospitalized, those who are inactive in our parish, those who are bereaved, those who are elderly, those who are lonely and depressed, the terminally ill and their families. Let's not forget the families. Those who are homebound or those who are institutionalized. You can't get at the institution. They need other people to care for them. The disabled and their families. Those that are in job crisis, affected by loss of employment. Those who experience a spiritual crisis in their lives. They're questioning where God is in all this, wondering why God is allowing this to happen to them at this time. They're struggling to find God. They need our care. Those who become dependent on substance. Those families who are struggling with people who are dependent on alcohol or drugs. Those who are going through separation or are separated. Those who are going through divorce or who are divorced. Man, it's a painful experience. And they need to know that there's somebody there for them, that they can talk to, they can level with without being told off. Somebody who's experienced an unplanned pregnancy or having a difficult pregnancy. Those who are affected by accidents or natural disasters. This past week, the world has come to an abrupt stop as we realize all those teenagers that were killed. You know, all of a sudden there's a pain in our hearts. And then in Alberta, just this past week, 2 more 17-year-olds were shot. 1 died. We care. We care down here. We're so far removed, sometimes we feel helpless. We can't do anything about it. But we need to realize disasters like that affect us. And if it happens here, if it happens on Ramia, if something happens in the school system, how do we care? How do we show that we're going to care? New members coming into the community. Have you ever tried to get into a new community and set up a house and try to break into the core group? Have you ever tried to come into a new parish or you transferred and you try to get in? This is our turf, you stay out of it. We've been here for 40 years and nobody else can belong here. And people are treated cold. People have to bend over backwards to try to get in.
This workshop will be shown in its entirety at a later date. On Wednesday of this week, the kindergarten classes at A.J. Matthews treated their parents and other guests to a circus. This was one of the many themes the kindergartens covered this year, but it had to be one of the most enjoyable ones. The fun got underway with a parade. The students had their face painted and wore costumes and performed for their guests under the big top. The clowns did tumbles and juggled balls and tossed hoops. The animal trainer had his animals roll over, talk, and do somersaults. The tightrope walker performed a variety of acts. The magician wasn't about to be best and performed magic tricks to perfection. The students sang songs and read some of their circus stories to the audience. We would like to thank Mrs. Vatcher and her kindergarten class for inviting us to see the circus.
So they all rolled over and the monkey fell out. 7 in the bed and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over and the elephant fell out. You see the animals as they fall out. 6 in the bed and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over and the panther fell out. 5 in the bed and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over and the camel fell out. 4 in the bed and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over and the zebra fell out. 3 in the bed and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over and the seal fell out. 2 in the bed and the little one said, roll over, roll over. So they all rolled over and the tiger fell out. 1 in the bed and the little one said, I'm lonely, yeah.
Stay with us for more of This Week in Review coming up after this.
Human survival depends on the Earth, on our planet's astonishing fertility. But what happens when the soil dries up and blows away? On Canada's prairies, on Africa's plains, precious topsoil is disappearing. Hi, I'm Bruce Coburn. Almost a third of the Earth's land surface is threatened by drought and desertification, and that means the lives of 1 billion people are at risk. The Earth can heal itself, but it needs help. People in developing countries are reclaiming their damaged land, restoring its lost fertility with the help of Canadian organizations like USC Canada. Worldwide, countries including Canada are starting to collaborate in the fight against desertification, working to ratify an international treaty. It's our future that's at stake. Together, we can bring the harvest home. Call 1-800-5656-USC.
Students at the St. John's Central High School took part in a math competition recently. Mr. Corey Penny, head of the math department, tells us about it. We have with us now Corey Penny, head of the math department here at St. John's Central High. We understand, Mr. Penny, that the junior high students was in a math competition out in Port of Bass.
Yes.
Can you tell us the results?
Actually, they did fairly well. There was 22 teams made up of 4 students in each team from school district number 4, and our kids placed second with the team of Joey Strickland, Glenn Tucker, Tyler Dominy, and Victor Benoit. And our other team placed 5th. They were Aaron Roxon, Julia Benoit, Belinda Vetcher, and who was the other one? Belinda and Brock Vetcher was. And they placed 5th, so overall they did really well. Excellent sportsmanship and good teamwork, and they really did Bird Joanne, our school, very proud.
So what was the competition? Did they have to sit down to a table and do problem solving, or was it speed, or?
Well, yes, it was. Well, there was 5 events. Actually, Bernard Benoit is probably the one that should be here because he's had the doings with him for a lot longer than what I had, and there was five events. Now the name of them was Math Jeopardy. There was Math Relay. There was Watch the Rule. There was a Junior Engineer, and when they had to build a little tower as high as they can get out of straws. And the final one was a Math Market. Now, to the kids, they mean something. To most people watching, I guess they don't. But to myself, this was new this year, so it was problem solving, a lot of competition, speed, accuracy, and they were giving different amounts of time stuff. Some of the doings with shooting basketball in the gym, and like I said, one dealing with building the towers, and the rest of them was basically in their seats dealing with problem solving. But it was really good, really.
Very good. So they came on with some type of an award, I
Well,
understand.
the ones that placed, there was awards for the first, second, and third. So the ones that finished second, they got the silver medal. So they were actually very close to finishing first. It was based on a ranking system. So the 5 events. So the best you can do was get 5 points, right? Kind of. So the winning team from Belanger Upper Ferry, they had 12, and our guys had 14. And then the ones that placed 5th, they had 34. So between 12 and 14, first and second was very, very close, and it was close the whole way through.
Now over to Mayor Ann with the council report.
Good evening. Town Council report for May the 5th, 1999. The book History of Burgeo was discussed, and Councillor Marks advised us that several people have expressed an interest in compiling the book. However, no one have committed themselves. So therefore, we're still looking for someone to just compile some of the information so that the book on the history of Burgeo can be completed. Recreational Education Complex. Deputy Mayor Barter is now chairperson of that committee. She was not at the last meeting, and we did not get an update. However, as I know it, that it's still moving, and there's just some discussions between government, the school board, and so on. The fish plant. Everything coming back from the test fishery have been described not good but superb. In fact, it was just this morning before I came on to do this broadcast that I checked with Mr. Chess Cribb, and they've landed 15 trips so far, and they've had a 50,000. They've had their trip limit for every trip. It's frustrating. Waiting is frustrating, but there's nothing else that I can see to do. We've just got to wait and see what comes our way. With regard to, there's been some talk of maybe getting the shore fish produced here at Burgeo. That seems to be slowing down quite a bit. I thought for a while, I was a bit optimistic something was going to come out of that. But at this time, I'm not that optimistic that anything is going to happen there. The BDDB, the Burgeo Diversification Development Board, there was a request from the zone for funding to fund that office. Council have not got any objections to coming across with some funding. However, before we do put money on the table this time, we're making some inquiries, or the town manager is inquiring as to what other towns are contributing, and try to find out if there's some formula so that all the towns in the zone will be contributing on an equal basis. The Mayor's March for Heart Disease, that march will get on the go on June the 1st. I don't think the councillors and myself were much of a bunch of fundraisers when it comes to getting sponsored and so on. However, if there's anyone out there who feels that they'd like to contribute to our march, then you can contact any councillor or myself and make your pledge. For some time now, Council has been sizing up its computer program as far as the year 2000, and we've been collecting information. Until now, it seems as if we've got enough information to decide which way we're going to go. And I think before the next meeting that the town clerk, Stan Kosser, and Mr. Blaine Marks, or Councillor Blaine Marks, have been given the green light to go ahead and choose a system which will look after our town. It's not a big expenditure. It'll probably be from $3,000 to $3,500. However, it's something that we really have got to do to get our office ready for the year 2000. Newfoundland and Labrador Hydro is going through some restructuring changes. Council received a letter from the Bay St. George Chamber of Commerce in Stephenville, and they're expressing to Hydro and to the powers that be that they've got some concern with this restructuring, as it results in employees being relocated from Stephenville to Bishop Falls. And prior to the meeting, I had heard about this change in which there will be a position move from Burgeo to Stephenville. A letter has been written to Hydro registering our objections to this move, as we feel that the job can be done from Burgeo just as well as it can from Stephenville, and we're trying to save every job we can within the municipality. A resolution was introduced, moved, seconded, and carried that the speed limit for the town of Burgeo would be increased, and what the new speed limit will be is the 70-kilometer speed limit that you drive through now as you're passing Heron's Arm Falls. That will be carried right through to just about the turn there around Joseph Iscox on Route 480. And from that area, from area of Joseph Iscox, around the remainder of town, the speed limit will be 40 kilometers per hour. This is not official at this time because the minister have got to sign it, and we've got to designate school zones. However, it will be becoming in effect very shortly when the proper signs have been posted. I don't really see where there's any problem. I think speed limits will remain the same as they are. It just is that people have been driving 40 and we're breaking the law in doing so. The only thing is now you will be driving 40 and it will be legal. It's just impossible to drive 30 kilometers an hour. I'm sure most drivers would agree. You are driving with your foot on the brake most of the time. So that's a change that's coming up there. The weeks of May the 17th to May the 29th have been declared clean-up period for the municipality of Burgeo. Encourage everybody to get out and clean up their property and spruce up the town. Anyone with large items such as oil tanks and cars and old wrecked vehicles and so on, council will dispose of them, but there will be a charge. And council will not be disposing of those types of items if you can get someone, either the garage or maybe South Coast Construction or someone of that type who's in that business, and will remove the wreck for you. But if you can't get anyone else to do it, council will do it. However, there will be a charge. Our playground, during the week, most all of the swings were replaced that were broken and out of order. The basketball pad needs resurfacing, and it was discussed with a view to possibly getting it paved this time. If there's a company in Burgeo doing paving this summer, then council will look very seriously at resurfacing the basketball pitch that's there on the playground. Also, we're going to try to brighten up the colors a little bit on the playground, and the town manager and myself is going through some catalogs and making some inquiries and possibly purchase an extra piece of equipment for the playground. A lot of people do use the playground. I'm sure in the evenings or any time you're walking around you can certainly see that. So it's probably time that council did put a little bit of money into the playground. The boat trailer all-out launch facility in Furby's Arbor came up for some discussion. Now, this facility was put there, and it's put there for everybody, but it was put there to be used as a haul-out and pull-up only. And it's not, the vessels or vehicles are not to be parked in such a way to block people from using it for any length of time. Council will be putting up notices to that effect within the near future. The road to Sandbanks Provincial Park, Council is making representation with regard to seeing if we can't get the remainder of that road paved. I did receive a letter from Premier Tobin on April the 26th. That's when it was posted, and it was in reply to a letter which I had written him on March the 2nd. I'm not going to read the old letter, but I will read the last two paragraphs just to give you some idea, and you can judge for yourself whether the Premier is committed to Burgeo. You can be assured that I will continue to make appropriate representation on this issue. The commercial crab fishery commenced several days ago, and there should be a clear indication by late May or early June of this year if the exploratory results outside 200 miles will be reflected in commercial catch rates. If indeed this is the case, there will be a strong basis for management plan adjustments at that time to achieve our mutual objectives for Burgeo. Please be assured, I remain fully sensitive to the economic challenges facing your town. Sincerely, Brian Tobin. So, you know, it do look as if the Premier is on side with us. And that's about it from Council for this week. I would like to wish all the mothers a happy Mother's Day. And until next time, thank you.
Stay with us for Off the Rack, the community events, and the BBS Playbill, all after this.
In a scene from prehistory, still fjords run deep, hemmed in by giant granite walls, carved by volcanoes, tectonic upheaval, 20 times as old as the Rockies. Our park. Imagine that.
Off the Rack. This week as we scanned our tape rack, we came across a tape of a graduation held on May 14, 1995. Many of these young people are now working as productive citizens, and some have gotten married. Sadly, most of them are living elsewhere. How many of them do you recognize?
Good evening and welcome to the community events segment of tonight's broadcast. I'm Jennifer Mark. The Recreation Commission will be having TV bingo on Wednesday, May 12th at 7 p.m. One game for $500. Cards are $1 each or 6 for $5 and are available from any Recreation Commission and are in most stores around town. Please support the Recreation Commission. Play TV bingo. Attention retired teachers and substitutes. The NLTA Retirement Dinner and Dance will take place on Saturday, May 29th. If you are interested, call Ruth at 886-2786 for price and particulars. Be sure to call before Thursday, May 13th. The driver examiner will be in Burgeo on Wednesday, May 12th to do written and road tests as well as photo IDs. Summer maintenance will soon begin on the town's cemeteries. The Cemetery Committee requests your continual support through the payment of fees and/or arrears to do necessary fence repairs as well as building plots. Your prompt cooperation is greatly appreciated. If your group or organization has an upcoming event planned, we will be happy to advertise it for you. Just call the BBS office by Wednesday of each week to have items included in this portion of our broadcast. That concludes the community events segment of tonight's broadcast. See you next week.
BBS Playbill. Tune in on Tuesday at 7 p.m. for a rebroadcast of Pansy's Garden. Try your luck on Wednesday by playing the Recreation Commission TV bingo. Following the bingo, we will have the anti-violence skits for the elementary school level. Join Pansy and the gang for 2 stories, a craft, and lots of fun on Saturday morning at 11 a.m. on Pansy's Garden. Next Sunday at 6:30 p.m. we will have a worship service from the Faith United Church, including the Sounds of Joy. And I'll be here again next week with This Week in Review. Next week's program will be followed by the bandwagon. We would like to take this opportunity to wish all the mothers in our community a very happy Mother's Day. For This Week in Review, I'm Marie Rose. Good night.